Let's get blue-eyed spicy on the planet of Arrakis, all right? With the boy Paul, Usul, Muy Deep, Lisa Argaib, Big Dick Atreides, all right? Dune Part 2. This movie was so good, it managed to convince me that Timothy Chalamet was tough, all right? Instead of the scrawny 95-pound girl that I thought he was. This movie was so good, Florence Pugh didn't even have to show me the pews for me to think that it was good. Mwah. Jesus Christ, man. Stilgar would be mad at me because I did release bodily fluid while watching this movie. All right. And I plan to release some more while giving y'all this breakdown. All right. So grab your Doom popcorn buckets because y'all getting ready for the best Doom Part 2 breakdown that you getting on this side of the interwebs. All right. I am the Lisa Nigaib, or whatever the hell the name is. All right. And we about to give it to y'all with my boy Jess representing that SA San Antonio and the boy KC out here in the H-Town with your boy, giving you the nerd analytical breakdown of all of this stuff, man. This is the After the Hype podcast. And what we do on this podcast, fellas, is we give y'all these breakdowns and we let you know if the movies and the content that you just watched lived up to the hype. All right. And Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2. I don't know about y'all, man, but did it live up to the hype? Not to spoil our outro, but what y'all think, man?
Man, this one of those movies you don't even have to wait to the end, man. The hype is there. I mean, it's stunning. It sounds good. The acting is on where it needs to be. It's a great sci-fi. Looking forward, hoping that they get to make another.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What's up? What San Antonio think about this, Jess? Multiple times, Jess, you went and released some bodily fluids on this one twice, didn't you?
Damn right. Yep, sure did. Let me tell you, the hype blade, it chipped and shattered. May thy hype blade chip and shatter. It did. It was good. Very good. Loved this movie. Loved the first one. Was looking forward to the second one. Was looking forward to the second one the second time. So yeah.
Already, man. So look, this movie was good as a Zendaya and Florence Pugh love triangle, man. And I cannot wait to dive deeper into this thing. We're going to be doing this on all the movies and the content that you love. All right. So go ahead, before we officially get started, go ahead, hit that like button, the subscribe button, whatever buttons you got to push, just hit the goddamn button. We're going to get into this thing, get the notification bell, because we're going to give it to you. X going to give it to you every single time. Fellas, God, man. Visually stunning movie. Like you said, just the first one had me, dude. I mean, we went and saw it, back, what was it, 2021? And it was, the first one was amazing. I was telling Kev, because me and KC, we always go check out the movies. I had no hype whatsoever for the first one. Kev did. I didn't know anything about Dune. Like, Dune was not on my radar at all. And this is, I mean, when did the original come out, Kev? Like,
Man,
the 70s?
Yeah, it came before all the Star Wars and it's a lot of things that piggybacked off of Dune. And to be honest, I really wasn't a huge Dune fan. I knew a lot of what I watched content was pulled from that story, but I really wasn't into it. Then I heard they were making a movie, and I was kind of like, okay, let me hear a little bit about what this is. And when I heard just some of the concepts that were introduced in this story throughout the books, I was like, yeah, this is good. And so they've tried to execute Dune a few times from a movie to some TV shows into a documentary about trying to make the movie originally. It's more interesting to see how they created or what they were trying to create, and none of them could really stick the landing all that well. So for Villeneuve to have the backing and see some of his vision that he's had with Star Wars and Blade Runner, I was really excited to see what he's going to do with Dune Part 1.
Yeah, I will say the hooks were in me like they were in that sandworm. back when I knew that Denis was directing the first one, and that's
Yeah,
because, yeah, I mean, you said it, Kev. Like, I like Sicario a lot. Man, Sicario was an incredible movie. I like what he did there, but the movie that actually got me hooked on him, that led me to Dune, it was not Blade Runner 2049, which was a visually nice
it
movie.
really was.
It was not Arrival, which I liked, another fun sci-fi movie. It was Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is a crazy mind
Oh,
movie.
yeah,
But the way he put that together, I was like, who is this man? I'm going to Google search. I'm finding out who this is. And
yeah.
that's what led me to Dune.
Did you Google if he had nudes?
I
That's
knew
what I
you would.
usually do.
I know you,
Yeah.
and I knew you would. So I did not. I save that for the Nintendo baby.
Does he have nudes?
Millie Del Nude.
Nah, man. I do like Arrival. I need to check out the other ones that y'all were naming. I haven't seen. What was it, Sicario?
Such a good movie. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, man. Arrival was good for me. And that kind of goes into what this movie, like the first one, man. Kev, you know this, man. We talk about it all the time. I am in love with movies that tell a good story. Like, even if there's a lot of dialogue and stuff like that, some people are more so like, "Oh, dude, you got to hit me with that action to keep me captivated." I can deal with people like sitting around chopping it up if it's telling a good story. And you know, the first part was a little bit slower, kind of getting into it, but it did that world building. It let you know kind of what was to come. This one just knocked you over the head, man. It had all of the elements, uh, and it seems like it's leading into something absolutely crazy with a war that's coming. What I would expect the title of the movie to be Doom Messiah. Uh, if we are gonna get a part 3, because it did leave us on the cliffhanger, right? No pun intended, because Zendaya was kind of hanging off a cliff, waiting for the worm to come. But uh, man, if we don't get a third one, I want to say, obviously I'd be mad because, dude, like we got to get that third one, but it left it off in such a way that's like, what she's the audience. We're viewing everything through her eyes. You know what I'm saying? She's the only one that's giving pushback. That's like, at the conclusion of the movie, it's like this triumph, like, oh yes, Paul overcame, like he did his
Yeah,
thing. He is becoming the Lisan al Gaib,
yeah,
he's the one, but it's not like that triumphant thing that we should root for, like in the Matrix, like in Star Wars or something like that. He's legitimately a bad guy, you know what I'm saying? And Chani is really the only one through the audience's eyes that's like, I don't know, bro. This nigga might need to be stopped. So to leave it right there, I thought was an absolutely amazing stopping point. Just incredible. So if we don't get a third movie, it's obviously left up to your imagination and what would come. It'll be a tragedy if we don't get a third one. But judging by how well it did in the box office, we should get a third one, right? Just you were saying that you saw some box office numbers that pretty much indicate that it did fairly well.
Yeah. So this is saying, was this Wall Street Journal? 81.5 million worth of tickets in the U.S. and Canada. It says that its whole opening weekend was the first $100 million weekend of the year. And a bonus nerd nugget here is that about 23% of the ticket sales were people that saw it in IMAX. So people had to have that big screen.
Nice.
man.
I hate that.
Man,
I hate that we didn't see it in IMAX.
Yeah, I was like, it was a lot. People were getting into there. Plus, I guess I could have splurged on it. I didn't. I wish I did, but I didn't. That's on me. That's on me. It was my turn to get tickets, and I was like, I'm gonna grab these because
cheap
with
ass.
with yeah. Plus with our schedule, I never know if it's concrete. We're gonna end up doing it. You know what I mean? We do try our hardest to get to all the movies that we're trying to watch. But yeah, I wish I had splurged. because it's not often that we're going to the movies now, and it's expensive to do anything. So going to the movies is definitely a treat, and I think it's well worth to kind of have that experience with IMAX. I wish I had done it. Maybe the second time I go see it, it will definitely, because I honestly, when I saw Doom Part One, I immediately wanted to go back to the theaters and watch it again. And right now,
Release those
Dune.
fluids, bro. You got to release them multiple times.
Hey, and speaking of that, Dune right now is like my favorite. Like, I can't go to sleep, watch movie. Like, I'm gonna throw something on to watch to kind of help me go to sleep.
I respect it. I mean, it's an odd choice, but I respect it. Everybody got their thing.
Because that's what kicks you into the REM cycle is that.
Yeah, exactly. That chanting,
Every
the,
time.
the chanting, the music, the
Or you
scenery.
can do that or
It's
the.
slow.
That is wildly impressive, Jess. I got
Yeah,
to give it
that's
to you. They got to get you
pretty
for the
good.
score on the next one, man.
I need
Yeah,
to get that day somehow. We'll figure that out.
if they don't make a part three, I do think that when we left the theaters, I heard people say, uh, "I want to go and read the books." So you're going to get more audience reading the book. And if I also heard there's rumors of going to do a TV show. So we may get something like that on HBO Max.
I would
Either
hate
way,
that, man. I would hate that.
I think it's a prequel, a Benny Gesserit prequel, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know much about it, but I
yeah,
think that is already like on the books in the works.
yeah.
I
I'm
could do a prequel, but not a continuation, man. We gotta get this spectacle as a third movie, man, as a continuation. I gotta see the war of what they say, the seven kingdoms. They not on board with old Paul. I gotta see this go down, man. We got the technology, we got the CGI budget. Like I say, I mean, it's doing well in the box office. Warner Brothers got them one after
yeah,
they completely ruined and fumbled the bag of the DCEU.
yeah.
It seemed like they actually letting this one play out the way that it should, and not stepping in and botching it.
Zack
So
Snyder. That's the Snyder effect.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually okay with them doing a TV show, man, because I think based off what I've seen or heard from the books, the stuff gets so complicated. I don't think a movie can hold it all in.
Listen, Big Dick Timothy Chalamet is not meant for the little screen. All right, like he is the man. You understand? Like he is not the little bitch that we thought he was, and he deserves to be on the big screen. He's. Hey, look, this you talking to a hater right now. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, my thing with him was like, how in the hell did he pull Kylie Jenner?
Willy
Kylie Jenner
Wonka.
is
Willy
is
Wonka.
What?
bruh, that's what I'm talking about. This Willy Wonka little nerd. How did he pull such a woman? Like this it wasn't computing for me. Then I saw this movie and I was like, I get it.
He's
I get
Fremen.
it. I
He's
get it,
Fremen.
Kylie.
He's
I
Fremen.
get it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah. It makes
yeah.
sense to me now. He's not meant for the little screen. Stop trying to put him on a little screen, Kev. He deserves to be on the
It's
IMAX screen.
it's
Nope.
okay.
I'm not listening.
All right.
You ain't got the answer, Sway.
It's not me, man. It's just how the story progressed. You know what I mean? That's all
we
I have to
got we
say.
got time. We got movies. Keep pumping them out. I mean, I I am not the one to read the books. Uh I'm just not a book reader like that. So I've just heard, secondhand information that they have deviated a little bit from the books to
Yeah.
to the movies, um, which seems like a pretty good choice. Whatever they got to do to adapt this thing to keep making movies, do it, man. It could get complicated. It's fine. We with you. What do y'all think about our reluctant protagonists or antagonists in Paul and Mr. Muy Deep? How do y'all feel about like that storyline? Because I think that's one of my favorite things, man. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he's like the anti-hero. He's the Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Like what do we got with this dude? Like, how do y'all feel, man? What do y'all want to see happen with this character?
I think that's exactly what Frank Herbert had in mind. Taylor Swift, whenever he wrote this book, all those years ago. Yeah, But you did say something when you opened up earlier. You were talking about how Chani was the only one who knew, but I don't think that was true because Paul knew. Paul knew that if he drank and if he went south, that things were going to go south. Right? He knew that, so he knew on some level what was to come, even though he didn't know. So that you can see that struggle in his character, like the development, and it's very real. It's very palpable throughout the movie,
Yeah.
and you're not like sidelined by it. You feel like you're right there with him as he's going through that, and as him and Chani are struggling with that, as he's trying to become a part of the Fremen, but not lead them. He wants to take a back seat. He thinks that the prophecy is for them to lead someone from their own people to lead their own people, right? So you feel like you actually identify with this guy who's going through the struggle of all these different things, right? He
Yeah,
doesn't want to
yeah,
wear the crown,
no,
and they did such a great job. Shout out to the writers for putting the way they wrote that, not just Frank Herbert and the novel Dune, but how that was written
Yeah.
into a movie and a
yeah,
cinematic experience.
yeah,
100%. Yeah. They really did a great job, I think, through a lot of storytelling in this, giving the audience credit of not spoon feeding us the story. You know what I'm saying? Like saying, hey, you know what? The audience is smart enough to understand like what's going on. We don't have to spend so much time exposition right now for them to get it. And yeah, you're right. I mean, shout out to the writers for doing that, man. Um, I think it is a very complex story. It's very layered. It's not just like cut and dry. I think some people will watch it, not to like be like, oh man, some people are stupid when they watch movies, but we do live in a generation where the younger generation of people, it's the TikTok age. Like it's hard to keep younger people's attention uh nowadays, man. So people aren't gonna like try to dive deep and understand what was really happening. But when you do dive deep into the story, man, it's a hell of a story.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's excellent, and this is a very complex guy. I mean, like you say, Jess, was that reluctancy genuine? You know what I'm saying? Like it makes you beg that question. It's like he knows that the Bene Gesserit implanted this prophecy as a way to control the Fremen people. He even kind of lets it be known, but it was hilarious. Stilgar was like comic relief in this movie as opposed to like the first Doom. And it's great that they did that, right?
yeah, yeah,
He's like, man, the Lisa Hagaib is so humble, like he won't even admit that it's him, which is hilarious. But it mirrors exactly what happens like in our world, right? When you get a leader, somebody like that people follow, it just shows the danger of blindly following someone so
yeah, yeah,
deeply, like in faith, whether whether it is faith based or whether it's politic based or whatever. um I mean, it's just dangerous. Kev, I tapped you throughout the movie. I don't think this was an intentional thing, but remember I tapped you. Their little breathing apparatus thing that they have like in their nose. Uh, I was saying that when Paul's character was wearing it, it kind of made him look like Hitler. Like his little thing was like right over his face. Like I said, I don't think that was an intentional choice, but I
You
thinking
started to
about that
see,
later. Yeah, I was
started
like,
slipping
man,
through the cracks. You started to see
yeah, it's
seeping
kind of
through.
it's kind of funny to think about it, right? Because, dude, like some people may not realize. I sound like Trump right now. Some people don't know. Only I know. Uh, uh, Hitler
It's
was
pretty.
voted
It's
into
pretty good.
power. Yeah, not
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Huh? Yeah, Hitler was elected into power. Man, like people loved him. They wanted him to lead. Uh, so I mean, this is
yeah,
the same thing. People are.
Charismatic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Uh, Trump is very charismatic.
yeah.
Like man, if he wasn't running for president, I would love that dude. I mean, he's great. He's hilarious. you
Yeah,
know?
he's definitely on a stand up tour right now.
Yeah. But no, I mean, y'all get what I'm saying, man. I mean, this, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, it was that not the original writer, Frank Herbert's intention, to tell
Very,
that story.
very, very much so, man. Like it's it's supposed to be. We all see ourselves as the hero in our own story, in our own lives.
Yeah.
But you know, it is, and it's. I love how the movie made you think about whether did Paul do this stuff intentionally, or did he try? Was he reluctant, or how long was he reluctant? Was the reluctant just part of the ploy? Because in the book, from what I hear, is a lot of narration in between the characters and what their thought processes are. So you can kind of get a glimpse of what their actions and what they're thinking. Um, my interpretation of it is, you ever had some situations where it might have been you're out and you see some girl and you know she wants to talk to you, but you know I'm really not going to be committed to you like you want me to, but yet because I'm pushing you away, you're like, oh, you're a good guy, and you're like, nah, really not. And she keeps doing things, and you're like, if I go that route, it's just going to be bad, but I'm tempted to do that route. And and
Kevin giving up the game right now, bruh.
Paul just got tempted and got in there, and once you're in there, it's hard not to take advantage. So the other thing is, it's important, like it's important for this type of movie to be seen at this point, because I do think there's people that went through this movie and saw it and was like, there's no question in their mind, Paul is the hero.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yep.
But it's also important because this type of time, because people do get addicted or hooked onto social media, and who that person may be training them to be, or betraying themselves to be on social media. You buy their products, you get in, you feed into what they're about. You try and mimic and imitate their lifestyle,
Yeah.
without taking in consideration what are they doing on the other end. That's just a human trying to get their bag with everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's a really good
it's a true reflection of life, man. You know,
Yeah.
like you say, I mean, this original story was told decades ago, you know, but it's still relevant at this day and age. I mean, you're absolutely right. Even when people are, some people do it intentionally, and some people don't understand exactly what they're doing, right? Like some people present themselves to be a certain way, like you say, to sell product, push products, knowing exactly what they're doing, understanding and realizing that they are manipulating people.
Right.
Some people do it subconsciously and really don't understand that, you know, what they're doing, you know, is going to have negative consequences. You know, it's just all based on like what you do, you know, and not what you say. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
a person is, their character is built off of their actions, you know, and not just their words. So that's the question that it begs, man. You know, Paul's whole thing is you know, revenge. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like, man, you know, he wants to avenge his father, and is he doing all of this knowingly, you know, going into this thing like, okay, I'm gonna tell Chani what she wants to hear. I'm gonna tell the friendly people what they want to hear. I'm gonna be this, you know, I'm satisfy my mom. You know, she got her whole thing going on. The you know, they've been setting up the chess pieces for years and years and years. The emperor doing his thing, man. It's so many games like going on in this thing, and like you say, man, if people watch this movie on the surface and think like this is just a hero's journey following Paul, oh man, you missing out. You missing the movie. Like you are not invested into this flick. You know what I'm saying? Like this movie, you got to bathe in the sands of this shit, man. You know,
get into the spice.
You got to get deep into the spice. This shit is spicy. It's spicy, man.
Spice,
the line from Chris Nolan's Batman where he says, "You either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain."
Of course, that was Jay-Z's line. Jay-Z said that.
Oh, you're right. Jay-Z did say that.
Chris Nolan took that from Jay-Z.
Some person said that, but this movie showed the journey of Paul Atreides to live. He died the hero, right? But then he drank and he came back, and he is, you know, if we get the third movie right, he is living long enough to see himself become the villain, and he knew that struggle all along.
You're
when his
right,
that's
wife,
Jess.
what's
the
That's a good
property
point.
and everything, he
That's a good
knew
point.
that, and
yeah.
we felt it. And that is exactly what you just described. That's what
Yeah.
got me in that theater once. It got me back, and that's what will probably get me to pre-order this movie for $30 freaking
Yeah.
at home. So
Yeah. It's kind of like knowing, oh snap, this is what's leading on all along. So now you go back and you watch the tell signs of him slipping into it, or you watch it and you're just like, man, if they had just avoided this, things would have been different. One of the things, and I'm pretty sure y'all might have heard, and spoil it for if you're looking for the book. I'm going in there. One of them was that in actuality, he's in that desert for a while, uh, and him and Chani, they have a son, Leto the second, and the baby is killed by the Harkonnens, which also is fuel for Paul in the books to go back for revenge. So it's like, you killed my father, you killed my whole kingdom, you killed all these other things. I'm suffering, man. Forget y'all, forget whatever I'm trying to hold on to, and I'm gonna lose more of the people that I just became part of. So he goes in there, but like you said, Jess, after he drinks the water of life, now he sees every version, front, back, side to side, all of that. And now he's, with all that information, has to make a decision and go through it. And what, how would, I mean, like, how do you do something like, if you knowing like, man, I'm gonna have to do this and be the bad guy? Like, no one wants to do that. Like, even when you punish your children, I'm sure y'all both are like, I didn't want to do this. I really didn't. I knew they were going to be upset when this happened, but I have to go through with it anyway. But instead of just your child, you got a whole civilization going through what you're trying to do, man.
It's tough. I mean, that's a leader's dilemma, right? Like you gotta make tough decisions. And yeah, I mean, it is a good point. When Paul drank the life water, he did, kind of get these oracle abilities, right? And even before that, I mean, he knew that going south it would potentially kill billions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, that's a great question, man. I mean, when your hand is forced, I mean, sometimes you got to do things, reluctantly that you don't want to do, or that you do want to do it, and like whatever your decision is, it always comes with the price to be paid. Man, I know we keep saying, and we all agree that him drinking that water was the death of the Paul that we knew initially. But I would beg the question: was there a death of his before we even got to that? I would like to think that, or not like to think, but I'll ask y'all: do y'all think that he had a death of his in the first movie when he killed Jameis? Because this may be a thing that the books may have alluded to as well. I just don't know. But from my perspective, man, it was kind of weird the way that he was kind of having those flashes and images of seeing Chani, knowing Chani. There were different sets of wisdom that he had in his mind. I think when he was, about to go through the sandstorm in the helicopter, it was a really good quote, man. I'm a butcher it, but it was like, life isn't a thing to like be controlled. It's a thing to kind of go with the flow. Which led him to stop trying to control the helicopter in the first movie and just let it do its thing. Was that him seeing life through Jameis's eyes? And when he killed Jameis, he really like killed himself, or what was that whole thing? I mean, it's like I say, man, it's something deeper there, right? And he also kind of saw life through Chani's eyes as well. When they were having the battle in this movie in Dune Part 2, he had the flash of him on the battlefield, but that was that ended up actually being Chani. So what are these visions? What are these things that's happening? Through his eyes.
I feel like this was, I like what you're saying. I had not thought about that. I guess for starters, I had not thought about it like that way. I like what you're saying. I viewed the movie a little bit differently. I viewed one and two. If you were to watch them together, right? Let's fast forward 5 years, whatever from now. Maybe we got all three of them. You just watch it as a series. I view the beginning of Dune 2 as a continuation of a coming of age tale of Paul Atreides. I didn't feel like
Okay.
he died so much as he grew into this thing that he's becoming. Not necessarily like
Yeah.
a boy to man type thing, but
Okay.
a person that was a duke or this little prince, space prince in training
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Haderach, right? From the voice of the outer world. That's how I viewed it. Now, I will say, if only we could ask my guy that did not make an appearance here, Thufir Hawat, he would just roll his eyes back, like he did in the first one, and say,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, they did however many ships and however much it cost.
yeah, yeah.
Where was that guy? I don't know. I know I'm derailing, but I'm a
No,
little bit irritated that he wasn't in there. He better
I
come back.
know.
yeah,
Where was he?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That guy
They
was.
they they
Oh,
they
he
filmed
died probably.
they filmed stuff with him, but they didn't put it in.
Yeah, but so did Gurney, right? I mean, I don't know. What happened to that? Like, we don't know what happened to that guy. Is what I'm
He
saying.
probably because all of the Atreides,
He
they
he
got attacked. They
yeah
probably died
he
in the attack.
Re
no
surviving James Ryan,
he got kidnapped and was tortured, but they didn't show that in part two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I derailed, but I want to throw that in there because I was like, where is this guy the whole time? And
Yeah,
I
I
do
forgot
think
about
that,
him.
that it was more of a coming of age is how I viewed it. And that
Okay.
went right into part two because part two opens with they have Jamas's body, they're carrying it. This is pretty much to what I thought was fresh after the battle. I didn't really go back and check the
Yeah,
diary year from
that's
what
how I
the
took it.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
fresh. So, but we see that journey really progress a lot in the second
yeah,
So in the book that our people, when I've heard people review the book, the Kwisatz Haderach is like the big thing that the Bene Gesserits are trying to create. And Paul just happens to Paul's parents or Elizabeth, is it Elizabeth? Jessica, his mother, ends up speeding the process up because it's a male. In reality, there's supposed to be a female that's supposed to get married to Fade Rafa, and that's supposed to create the Kwisatz Haderach because you have the what is this Atreys and the Harkonnens molded together to create this powerful being that's going to have a little bit of Bene Gesserit, this warrior spirit, all that good stuff.
yeah.
So they accidentally create this person who has some of those powers already. So, and in the beginning of the movie of Dune Part One, it says like a quote something about power of dreams. So what his visions are dreams. So they're not quite accurate, but they're visions to kind of help him along to get to where he needs to get to. So he's kind of getting this you know all-knowing power, but he's not really tapping into it. Once he drinks the water, it opens up the floodgates of what he's able to do. And even like you're saying, Tim, I when I viewed it the first time, I thought it was Paul fighting just Jamis was his death and life at the same time because his power is so deep whenever he's in the temple in Doom Part Two, and he's challenging people to say, anybody want to take this take me out, go and take me out. And he points to the guy and he starts breaking down his past like that, just knowing his
Bruh,
past and everything.
not to cut you off, but incredible scene.
Yeah.
The scene that you're describing right now,
Oh, that scene makes the movie.
incredible scene. Yeah, man, that was the moment where I was like,
that dude just hit his
you the
knee.
man, you the man.
Rodney,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe in you, bro. You are the dude. You the one.
Yeah.
That was the Morpheus standing back at the screen like he's the one.
Yeah.
That was it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
even his the way his hair is, the way he stands, the way he walks, there's so much confidence in him, right? There's so much certainty. And so he has a little bit of that whenever he sees.
I love how it was
Yeah,
like they were telling him to kill Zilkar or whatever, and he was pretty much like, "Shut the fuck up!
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. Y'all gonna listen to me. You know,
yeah, yeah,
y'all want to challenge me, but you too pussy. You're not gonna do it. You know, like, bro, that was the translation that I heard in my head. Like, as
yeah,
he got up there, bro, he didn't even break stride getting up on the stage, man. He like had so much command of it,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
He
And even
pulled
when
it off.
you hear his mother saying like slow down, and he's still full charging,
Yeah,
and even as an
yeah.
audience, you're like, oh, he's gotta take it back, or he's not gonna win, and you're rooting for
Nah.
him, right? You're rooting for him to do what he needs to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And you know what? He never once used the voice either to do all that. He didn't use
Nah,
the voice until he talked to the Reverend Mother
Yeah,
at the
bro.
very end.
When he said that to the Reverend Mother during the
So,
battle, I sat back. I was like, I'm gonna shut the fuck up too. Uh, it got me. I'm like, damn, bro, you
yeah,
commanding the situation, and the actor, you know, Timothy Chalamet commanded the screen, man. Absolutely amazing, man. You know, they pulled it off. You know,
how
pulled it
good
off
was
in
that
character
scene?
and actor.
That one scene, how good was that one scene, man? Because I think about Josh Brolin, and he barely had any lines in the movie, right? In this one,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he did, you know, pretty good. He kind of played this like fumbling old man type thing, I guess, through it. But my favorite scene, that was my favorite scene in the whole movie, right there, when he talks to the council and the leaders.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing that Josh Brolin did in the movie was not no audible dialogue at all. It was when he pulled out the signet ring.
oh
He
Yeah.
said,
yeah,
"This is my father's ring," and you just see it on his face, right?
Yeah.
It catches you a little bit in the feels, like, you know, this dude stayed behind to fight the Harkonnens because everything he ever knew was gone, and he
Yeah.
thought he was left for dead. And he sees it all come back together, and he's like, "I don't know what happened to, you know, the house of the Atreides, you know, all these generations and generations." And then he throws that out when he pulls the ring on, and you see that one thing. And I was like, "Man, what a great scene!" But that's
Yeah.
just one aspect of the whole scene. It was so
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
Yeah. Everything about that scene was great. And like I was talking about earlier, Chani's pushback of it, you know, was really interesting, which I heard was a deviation from the book. I heard that she kind of went along with stuff in the book. But this, I think it was purposely, instead of, you know, that's a character that we've already grown to like throughout the first movie and the second one, right? So I think the writers chose for us to view the world through her eyes instead of, you know, showing maybe like a little subgroup of people that were still like reluctant or like, oh, I don't know about this dude. Like, make Chani that person that's like, yeah, oh, this is fucked up. I think
yeah,
that was a really, really good choice. And it was so cool how everybody started kneeling, you know, when he had his big bad moment, you know, in the temple or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
which we talked about after the movie, Kev, which I think was a really cool choice. You know, a lot of times when we get these movies, and they, you know, tell these sci-fi stories and parallel with religions and stuff,
yeah,
majority of the time they, you know, echo Christianity. This one had a lot of seemingly like Muslim traditions, you know, which is really cool to see portrayed. But you know, when everybody was kneeling and Chani was the only one standing up and she was ready to voice off, Josh Brolin's character like snatched her down.
yeah, yeah,
That was like, yo, you know, because man, throughout this whole thing, you know, he's a survivalist, bro. He survived the attack. You know,
very
he's still
true.
surviving,
Yeah,
and you know, he's in this temple. He's not a Fremen. You know, he has no reason to be worshiping, you know, the way that they are. But he's like, hey, you know what? If everybody's sitting down, you're gonna sit the fuck down too. This is how we make it. This is how we survive. Like,
yeah,
just chill out, man. Relax right now. And so I thought that was really cool to see, because that represents society as well, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like people always gonna give pushback when you like the only one trying to stand up against something. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
just go along. Just do as the flock does. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? The
yeah,
sheep are bowing. You know,
yeah,
just you know. So so many cool things.
Yeah, it made me think of being married, man. I remember I
Is
don't
he
know. You
going there,
remember?
Just? Is he
I don't know.
going there?
Yeah. So we got. Let me
Right
say it
in,
like
hold
this.
on.
Let me say it like this. On my wedding day, I'm sitting there at the breakfast tables with both these guys. I'm sitting there with Jay Dales. I'm sitting there with Tim or Tricky. We're eating breakfast. I remember I'm eating eggs, and Jay Dales
As
looks
your
at me.
wife told you to.
No, Jay Dales is over there. He's looking at me. My wife was getting changed and dressed and everything. Jay Dales says, "You're about to enter into a relationship with somebody who's going to know you better than anybody else, even probably yourself sometimes. But you keep eating your eggs, right?" And what I mean by that is, uh, Chani sees him as a human. He was a bumbling, fumbling child coming to the desert. Like she made sure that he survived, made sure he got what he needed, understood the technology, how to do that. The
Yeah,
only thing she gave him a compliment was, "Hey, you're a pretty good fighter." So that's the last thing I have to teach you. I don't have to teach you much of the fighting.
yeah,
But when it comes to the desert, when it comes to our ways, you don't know nothing about it. And to
yeah,
see this bumbling, fumbling fool come out here and try and do all this stuff, even when you told me we know that this is both made up, orchestrated by some authority in another planet that just came over here and made some goobly gop, and everybody's on it. I can't believe you went on and gave everybody the Kool-Aid, man. You are the Kool-Aid maker,
yeah,
and I know it.
yeah,
So that to me was made me think of my wife, because my wife, if I step out of character or something, she's gonna be like, "Man, who are you? I know you
Shit.
when we was living in that
Yeah.
1 bedroom apartment, with the
Wife is always gonna humble you, bro.
yeah, man." So
Wife is always gonna humble you, man. You could it don't matter. Everything you do is little. You know what I'm saying? Like you be a doctor, you're like, oh, you gonna do your little doctor shit? You gonna do your little saving lives shit? It's like just be back in time to take out that trash, bitch. You know?
right, right.
And you're still gonna have to pay this mortgage, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't care how many lives you save today.
You think you ain't
What you
washing these
gonna
dishes
do?
tonight?
Right, what are you gonna do when you get here?
Yeah. Yeah, wife is always gonna humble you, bro. Now that's funny, man. Speaking of wives and women, can we talk about how this movie is deeply influenced by women? And that kind of represents reality as well, right? All of Paul's life, like all of his journey in this movie, is influenced by women from the beginning. Like his mom, like you touched on earlier, KC, you were saying the Bene Gesserit, they have the ability to choose the gender of the baby. So Duke Leto, he wanted he wanted a boy, he wanted a son. Lady Jessica decided, through her ego and everything like that, like her boy could be the Lisan Al Gaib or whatever. uh Even without the wishes of the Bene Gesserit or whatever, she created a boy, which I think is a crazy ability. But you know, so um, she was already manipulating, his life even before he even got a chance to choose who the fuck he even was. Then it comes to Chani, it comes to, I mean, just everyone, and how the Bene Gesserit went after
It's
what was
it's
Austin
it's,
Butler's character's name?
it's Fade Rafa. But don't forget the
Hey,
sister.
Rafa. The sister, the little, that was the creepiest shit in the whole movie, bro. How the little fetus baby was able to talk.
Hey, y'all remember that all that clip? It was like Baby Fetus the
Baby
rapper.
fetus, the youngest rapper ever, of course, man. That shit was hilarious.
Oh man, forgot about that. I just thought about that.
That she was baby fetus. Oh man. But yeah, he like, and obviously he starts to have those visions, right, of following the woman. Whoever this woman that he's following is the reason why it leads to billions of deaths. I mean, let's say what this movie is really trying to say: women are the worst. They're evil. They just lead to death and destruction. And if it wasn't for them, we'd be great. We'd be fine.
We would.
I'm not saying it. Frank Herbert is the one that wrote this stuff and portrayed it in these movies for us to realize and say, damn, you know what? He's right. Bitches be crazy. I take it back. I take it back. I take it back.
J Dubs, he got something to say. What's up, man?
Nope.
He realized that I'm right.
I did look this up though, man. The mind of Frank Herbert. This all comes out of the great state of Washington, by the way. He was born and bred in Tacoma, Washington. So this came up from the hills of the Pacific Northwest. At least what Wikipedia tells me, he was a young lad out there, keen for the love of nature and photography. And this is what led to this imagination and this mind, right? Of this awesome tale that we're talking about today. So
it must be some crazy ass women out there.
I think it's kind of cool to see like the ingredients that went into baking up the imagination of the story.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm surprised he's not from Florida. That would make more sense to me.
Florida man creates space epic. Says women are crazy.
Oh, bro, I want to see that so bad. The alligator people would be eating everybody. It would be nuts.
Oh man. Yeah, there wouldn't be worms, it'd be alligators.
Bro, it'd be alligator people on bath salts attacking the earth.
Yeah, that would be, by the way, that would be like one of those random ass episodes of Atlanta. Like that would be
Yeah, very true.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we gotta employ some Florida man to write a space epic and just see what happens. Just supply him with unlimited amounts of meth so that he can finish his story.
This is your spice.
Yeah. Oh man, but no, come on, man. Are y'all too scared to chime in on what I feel like is true about the women manipulation in this story?
I don't know. I will say it's crazy how he's affected by pretty much any women that's pretty much connected to you, like an immediate family, except for a daughter. But it is a crazy concept that, you know, his mother, his sister, his love, all have kind of directed him and pushed him and kept him steady on his path, whether it be something that he was trying to avoid or something that he went into. So it was just something that stood out to me. And we don't really, it's always kind of one-sided, where in a lot of these sci-fi movies or sci-fi stories, especially before Star Wars and Star Trek, you were getting, you know, damsel kind of mentality when it came to women in this genre. So to hear that there are at a higher status in this universe, and how much power they have, how focused they are, and how they have direct correlation to what the hero or antagonist or protagonist is doing, it's really cool for them to have that in there. I don't know,
and it's more representative, you know, like to bring it full circle, because obviously, ladies, look, I'm joking, obviously.
I'm joking.
I'm joking. I think this is a very accurate representation of society. Like, women, y'all run the world, man.
You be hearing babies?
Hell yeah. Shit. I'm hearing them right now. Daddy, shut up. Be quiet. Bruh. Women, y'all run the world. Y'all absolutely run the world. Like, sincerely. Like, for real. And if you could figure out how to get along with each other, we wouldn't stand a chance. It would be done. But even without there being like a cohesiveness with other women with other women, you still run the world entirely. Like, men, we're nothing without you know, women. And like I say, like, joking, you know, aside about the manipulation and everything, like, man, this world would be nothing without the strength and without the wisdom, without the nurturing nature of women, you know. And credit to Paul, you know, because man, what did you say Austin Butler's character was named again?
Fade Rafa.
Fade Rafa, you know, like let's talk about them. You know, he was the Fa Baron or whatever, you know, the Baron's nephew. Yeah, they did a really cool job with them, I thought.
Man, that world was dope.
On their world, the Black Sun, created
Yeah.
these albino people. Albinos are crazy.
The fireworks.
The fireworks were nuts, man. Like
Yeah, man.
showing what that would look like under that particular light setting. So credit to them, man. They did an amazing job. Far Rafa, the Far Baron, his voice. I thought, showing how he really admired his uncle, the Baron. It was a little crazy, but I thought it was interesting. You didn't like it? You
Oh, that
weren't
dude
you weren't
was. I was shaking my head. That dude was a psycho, and I think
Oh, he
I
was
think it got.
psycho, but he
I think it
played it
got.
great.
Yeah, he did. I
Nailed it.
think it got. He did. I think it got kind of glossed over how crazy that dude was because I was so into the movie. I was like, wait a minute, this dude eats people, and he feeds them
Yeah,
to his
Oh,
pets.
and he has people that eats people, right?
Yeah, that was like,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
It was
yeah.
they did it.
Gady Prime, they nailed it with that, right? Like even
yeah,
the fact that you knew you were in not only a completely different world, but a completely different everything because
Yeah,
yes,
the cinematography changed to black and white. It
yeah,
changed to monochromatic to just put it over the top just a little bit more.
yeah,
And if you
yeah,
notice, these characters, they are Harkonnens are human, I do believe. So they actually look like um on other planets like Arrakis, whenever they show them, they kind of look like other people. They don't look like how they look on Gady Prime or how the movie
yeah,
made it, but they
man,
did that to take you to this is a different place,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
are not
yeah,
in the other great houses. This is the pit of evil, right?
yeah.
This is the antagonist come to life. This is where you are.
yeah.
I love that they did that, and I
It
do
was
got to tell
great.
you one thing about what y'all are saying. This pod, none of this is possible without the women.
It's
Every
not.
single one of us is powered by estrogen behind the scenes, by the way.
Absolutely.
We all
Yeah,
live in households that have
100% estrogen.
nothing but females. I
yeah.
had to get a male dog just because I was so outnumbered here with the females that we have in our house, by the way. But I
Yeah,
want
man.
to tie that to the movie, real life, yes, but to tie it to the movie, imitating art, is that the power was held by the females in this movie.
100%. So that was
The
my
real
point.
showdown, the emperor knew. The emperor was asking his daughter for counsel, like, "Hey, I'm the
Yeah,
smart one here, right? What would you do?" And
Oh
yeah,
he
man,
flipped it back
yeah,
on
yeah,
him to
yeah,
say, "No,
yeah,
you need to come in and win the war and be the
yeah.
savior." And he just
absolutely.
paused. And what the Reverend Mother say? She said, "My smartest pupil."
Yeah,
Right?
But
Yep.
yeah. It's
then
deeper than that.
she also confronted the Reverend Mother, like, why would you let him go
Yeah.
and allow Atreides to get attacked by the Harkonnens?
Yeah,
The most powerful meeting was after the Fade Rafa scene with the lady Leia Seydoux 007 woman, where she comes back, she says she secures the most powerful meeting was that. It wasn't like the
Yeah,
emperor in the end. It was
yeah,
yeah,
it was all the Bene Gesserit coming together and the
exactly.
emperor's daughter and
So
talking about
that was my point. That's why I was trying to bring it full circle. So I was
yeah.
saying, like, shout out to Paul because yes, even though his life has been manipulated by women, his mom, Chani, the Bene Gesserit, like all of this stuff, he showed strength because Faye Rafa put in the same exact situation. It completely mirrored, from the first movie, him doing the box test, the pain test with the
the
Reverend
Gom
Mother.
Jabbar.
Yeah, to Faye Rafa doing it with the baddie. You know, they were saying like, yo, like y'all were saying, Paul and Faye Rafa, like they were both built up and born to do to do the same thing. Paul was supposed to be a woman, but they knew that Faye Rafa could be controlled, right?
Mm,
Because
mm,
he had that weakness. It could be manipulated easily by women and through sexual encounters and stuff like that. So like you say, Jess, when they went back and had that meeting, she confirmed. She was like, "Oh yeah, easily. This was nothing. He could easily be manipulated. Man, I got his baby in me. I made her a woman like you want. She the one. Uh, and like I say, I mean, just shout out to Paul because that clearly shows that Paul is more strong minded than he was. And yeah, the women they're the puppet masters, man. They making all the things happen
And
in this movie.
and that's also why House Atreides fell, if you remember right. because they grew too strong. The Reverend Mother, the Bene Gesserit, says they couldn't be controlled after the 90 generations or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what they wanted, right? They wanted the manipulation, the control, to subjugate them, to keep them kind of where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question for y'all. Your favorite character in the movie, who was it and why?
Ooh. It's a good question. What you thinking, KC?
I mean, I enjoyed all the actors that were in this movie. I think who I was so curious about in the Dune Part One was Stilgar. So kind of seeing his story in here, like Stilgar is the catalyst, one of the catalysts to the Fremen people in engaging in Paul in that way. And you wouldn't have thought that he would be there because he was so standoffish in the first movie, and how easily he gains trust with Paul. It's really what I like. I also liked how he demonstrated the value that he had in this make believe culture. But if I were to see the guy actor Javier say, "Hey, I'm Fremen," I would totally believe him saying that. The way he embodied that character, and the way he showed faith in the whatever was going on for Paul and everything. So that to me was a standout too.
Yeah, he was. I feel you. I definitely understand why you picked him, man. Like I say, he was very relatable characters, like the comic relief for the movie, and I like him. Man, I hate to go with the main character, man, but I gotta go with Paul, man.
Oh man,
you know,
thought you were gonna go with the worm.
Unsung hero.
Yeah. Now Paul was great, man. You know,
he
like I
did
said, the acting, and just that journey, man. It's that Breaking Bad journey. You know what I'm saying? You know, I talk about it all the time. Like those are the stories that I really love. You know, when you following a character and you like, man, I love this person. They clearly the protagonist, and you see a switch, and you have that dilemma. But it's only good if the character can pull it off. Like if the actor can pull it off, and if you know the writing of that character can pull it off. And I think both just knocked out the park. So great question, Jess. But yeah, I'll go with Paul. Who you got, bro? You can't pose the question and then not give an answer yourself.
Yeah, you're right. The actor that I enjoyed the most was Javier Bardem. Like I thought Stilgar's character, I thought he nailed it. I like the actor. You know, was it was Chani, man. Chani was that threw me for a curve. Like that movie.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, they said somebody told, this was Ryan, by the way. He said this. He said, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like it wasn't expansive enough. And I was like, what do you mean it wasn't expansive enough? The movie was called Dune, not Dune's universe. You know, like why wasn't it expansive? Because it didn't show, you know, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and millions of people. Like, what did you not? How were you not entertained? You know?
Yeah.
Let them know.
Well, and I was like, and I thought about that, and I thought, well, why was I satisfied with this space epic that really took place the majority on just this one little desert planet, right? And I think the reason why is because of the character development that happened throughout the whole story, and how it leads to the plot, and how it leads to this messianic figure, right? This prophecy that comes to light and all this stuff. But who's behind that, right? Like, who is the one driving a lot of that? And you could say it's these forces or these entities like the Bene Gesserit and this political dynamic with the Emperor and spice and the economics of it and all that stuff, right? But the reality was, it came down to one character. I felt like that movie without Chani is not that movie, because it doesn't motivate Paul Atreides to become Muad'Dim and to become the Lisan al Gaib
Yeah.
or to not, right? To have the tug of war that he had inside of himself and to see that on screen, it doesn't happen without China.
Yeah.
So, and I like Zendaya, right? But dude, like for me, big movies like this, we went from like little Peter Parker's love interest, oh, that's cute, she's emo and everything, to like this is a full-fledged woman on screen that's
Oh,
coaching a man to like become the outer voice from the outer world. And
yeah,
that was pretty cool to see that character come to life. So that's
Her range is
yeah, yeah.
her range is crazy, man. You
good.
know.
Zendaya, man, is a phenomenal actress. Like
Yeah.
I've seen her in other things, like Euphoria. I've seen her in that one movie where her and David Washington are a couple, and they're arguing like pretty much the whole movie. Of course, Spider Man, and there's other projects where she's just like you can see it as Zendaya, but she embodies whatever spirit that's in there. So I don't take it away. Like I'm not looking at this was the first movie where I saw those characters, and I'm not just saying their names as they play in the movie. Like I'm saying Timothy Chalamet, I'm referring to him as Paul as I talk about the movie. And I'm referring to Zendaya as Chani as I'm talking about the movie.
Exactly.
Versus if they're in Euphoria, I don't know Zendaya's name in Euphoria. I just know is Zendaya. I don't keep it in my head. But
Yeah.
these actors are doing well.
Yeah.
And
One of her one of her most powerful scenes in the movie, she has no dialogue. It's when Paul is discussing with the emperor how he's gonna take his daughter's hand. When it pans over to Zendaya's face, man, to Chani's face, she don't need to say shit. You know exactly what she's feeling, and you can empathize, or you can sympathize with her at that moment. You're like, damn, bro. And she's an incredible actress, man. I mean, that's an understatement. I mean, the whole movie was perfectly casted.
just
To tell a story like this, man, you gotta have the actors and the actresses that you did.
Dave Bautista,
honestly,
by the way, same thing with the faces. He barely
yeah,
had any dialogue, but it was just his fear was on full
Yeah.
display in every one of these like limited bits of scenes, right?
yeah.
Just like those facial expressions, nailed it.
The I don't think Chani said anything really after she gave him the water. Like I'm trying to remember a line. I have to go back and watch it again. But I think maybe she had maybe one more line after that before she's getting ready for battle. But after that, we don't hear her voice.
She did.
You
Yeah,
might be
she
right,
did. It was they played the Altered Beast theme. It was like rise from the grave. And then,
Well, one other thing I'm gonna say that was really huge, was really minimized, like it was like played down, was when he was drinking the water, right? So this is a big pivotal turn point for him. But because they're trying to make sure that he remains a hero in the eyes of the audience, they don't really go in depths of how much that water affects him. And I love the fact that they went that way. Some people may feel like it's rushed or it wasn't done or wanted to go deeper into the dream sense. But if he went deeper into the dream sense, people would pick up on his power, pick up on the visions, and pick up what he's got going on. What's ready to be gone for the next couple of books. But when you play it down, you're not harboring over it. You still feel like he's the same Paul when he arises, and that is, to me, was a good choice.
Yeah, I feel you. I agree with that. I thought the movie was perfectly paced, man. Just from what I hear, I mean, they could have done so many different things with that sequence, with the baby, but like I say, they made the movie enough to where it's like, yes, it can captivate audiences, not confuse them so much to where they're like, oh man, this is weird. Gives enough action to where it satisfies the people that like to see action on screen, man. I mean, I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but Jesus Christ, man, like a visual spectacle. This was absolutely just, amazing to watch, and if you weren't so cheap, we could have saw it on IMAX. But but no, I mean, bro, just incredible to see. It checked off all boxes minus Florence Pugh showing us the pews, man. But like I say, it didn't even need it. It didn't even need it for this movie to be incredible and amazing, man. A lot of times what I like to see in movies, I like to see some sports being played. I like to see some action being had. And I like to see some women showing off the women's, but I didn't need it. It was all good, man. Like this was a great movie, without checking those boxes. And I mean, obviously, man, I hope we get a third one. We need a third one. We got to have a third one. No TV show.
I agree. I'll say it like this. Maybe getting this third movie the third movie I will understand that. But I think after that, breaking down the other books, I can see them doing TV show.
They can do some prequels. That's fine. That's cool. But I don't know.
It's so much that goes on, man. It's so much, yeah.
Because then you start to water it down, man. I don't want them to go down the path of the Marvel way, with the Disney Plus shows and the Walking Dead and the spinoff shows, and all of this. Just keep it great.
The original content, it was like that. So I read this book in 2013 or 2014. It's one of those 2 years. I can't remember. It's been a while, right? The first book is good. It's good. If you read the other 5 after that, it is. I mean, it's a sharp drop off. So I'm going to throw that out there. Like, I'm sorry, Frank Herbert and all your fans, but it's not. The first book is a classic. It's a sci-fi classic, right? H.G. Wells, right? You're up there in the upper echelon of sci-fi, all the things, right? But those other 5 are trash. They're just not good. So spare us. We don't need the whatever it takes to come after that. Just the money-making machine. Leave it intact, man. Leave the integrity on the silver screen, the big screen, whatever. It's a badass standalone work, and we're only 2 of these in.
So look, that's what. At some point, man, like you got to learn lessons, right? Like you don't always have to bump your own head to learn a lesson. Sometimes you can take lessons from other people or other things and say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna avoid those pitfalls and I'm gonna do something different. So my point with that is saying, like, we see what happens when you just try to milk a franchise. You just keep going to the well. It waters it down like crazy, man. And I would love to see this franchise do something completely different and say, hey, you know what? We're telling a good story. We're on a great trajectory. Whatever the books were, whatever they've done in the past, learn from those lessons. Learn from the DCEUs and of all of it and say, hey, you know what? We're going to announce this is a trilogy, all right? Come see this movie because this is the conclusion. All right. The story is going to be concluded here. We're not going to milk this thing. Come check it out. That make a Billy. That make 2 Billy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, if they're worried about money, I think that's the formula, man. Don't go the way of The Walking Dead. Like, Jesus, bro, it just went on for too long.
Yeah, I think they've made enough mistakes with the movie that came out in the 80s and the TV shows that came out as well. So I think that they're okay. And the TV shows are covering more of what Jess is saying, like the other stuff that comes after the Messiah. And it gets a little, I mean, it gets very, very, very sci-fi. And it's very sci-fi and it expands past a lot of other stuff. So that's why I'm saying, for me, I would like to return to Dune, but it doesn't have to be on the big screen. And I think they can pull enough audience to kind of be interested on HBO Max for a couple of seasons to show the story afterwards. If you're interested, if you want to, I think they can still make their money for both the big screen and the HBO Max stuff that they're trying to do from the same demographic they're interested in.
I hear it. Yeah. I think my take is I think that there's other creative ways to turn a buck. We have this saying in I guess in humanity. I know we say this in the English language. you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? This is the wheel, right? This is a sci-fi masterpiece. Let it be a standalone work, right? The reason why we're still reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears in 2024 is because it's a damn good story, right?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
good for a 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
kid.
You don't have a spinoff where Baby Bear and Goldilocks had kids and
Don't
they
reinvent
kids
it,
had
man, right?
little.
Like,
Yeah.
don't reinvent the wheel. Like, let it do its thing. Now, are there creative ways to turn a buck? In my opinion, there are, right? Look at the Harry Potter franchise. They wrote another book. It wasn't very good, in my opinion, but they took it to Broadway. They put it there. Everybody went to see that. You could not get a ticket there on several continents the way that they put that out there for the Cursed Child. It was
Yeah.
the hottest thing for years. And then the books, it got reading a lot higher in that.
Yeah.
It retroactively got the interest high back in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
It got people invested into the arts, right? Like
Yeah.
it was a whole thing that it did. That was a creative approach to making some money, right? It wasn't just about greed, just throwing it out there in the next
Yeah.
Yeah.
how can we
Yeah.
do this with younger actors or whatever, right? They didn't reinvent the wheel.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I'm with you. That's why for me, as somebody who's interested to see this in a different visual medium, I'm I'm saying if they do a part three or Doom Messiah, to me that's the cutoff. Like cutoff, that's your last big
Yeah.
screen, whatever.
I
But
agree.
if you're still wanting to see it at a smaller budget with a more expanded story, then I'm okay with them doing it. I'm okay with them doing
Hell
a HBO Max video
yeah.
or straight
Yeah.
straight there. Ignore the theater because like you just I do agree that once they get into the other territories, it's going to be harder for them to swallow. The some of the decisions that they made in this movie, excluding the child, excluding the fact that, and I think by the time in the book that the baby that Jessica's holding is born. Like that baby is walking in the original 1980s movie. The baby's walking around and talking to people. So that concept was like kind of hard to take for a normal audience. Like, what is this baby walking around? What is this? It sound
It was
like
hard. It was hard to take the fetus talking to the
right,
mom.
right. But imagine this walking around like
Ally McBeal, sci-fi Ally McBeal.
yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, this baby's walking around with a grown woman's voice,
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It's odd, man, and the audience is kind of like, that's a lot for me to take in, man. So
I think
I
they made good creative choices.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that they continue to do that. But for me, there are things that I want to see in live action, and I don't think they would do it.
Give the worms their own show. They all move to New York. They go and get coffee. They share apartments. They go and get coffee or whatever it is. And then
And
they talk about how Shai Hulud is strong. You know,
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah. They have their own prophecy of a
yeah.
worm being born and stopping him. I don't know.
Was the opening song? Yeah,
Oh man.
Worm is about to come on.
Man. So I guess before we get too ahead of ourselves, already predicting the future of this franchise and what they gonna do, let us just enjoy what we had out of Dune Part 2. And I gotta ask y'all, my brothers, my fellas, my guys that I share my moisture with,
Why you gotta go there?
because it's true. What did y'all think?
It's not true.
Did this movie, yes it is, did this movie live up
You're
to the
alive.
hype? Did this movie live up to the hype, man? We'll start with you, Jess. What's this movie rank on your hype meter? Because this is an official new release. This is a blockbuster movie. So let's give our hype meter right now. Out of a scale of 1 to 5 on the worm link. You chop it up into sections. Where does this rank for you, brother?
you bet your sweet ass. This got 5 out of 5 Shai Hulud worms, right?
Ah,
This movie
yeah.
delivered, right? I told people Return of the King energy, and I don't say that lightly.
I can see
Big
that though.
guy,
I can see
but
that.
pulling the elements together, right?
Yeah,
The epic space battles with the families coming together, right? And the behind the scenes, the women powering what it looks like to bring power into the world and control the power and the political dynamics, all these things, right? What an incredible thing, guys. Two words we didn't even talk about tonight that impacted very much this whole world and our ability to even talk about this: writers' strike. Something
Yeah,
nobody thought
yeah,
about when this movie came out of left field after it was delayed and
yeah.
just smashed into the box office.
Yeah, you're right.
Very
You're right.
true.
Thank you for that,
Yeah.
Dune, to everybody involved making that so we could talk about it, so we could
Yeah.
have this awesome experience. 5 out of 5 words.
Man,
Can't get no higher
man,
than that, KC. What you giving it,
man,
brother? Where does this rank on your hype meter?
man. Just if my meter has gone up because I mean, just hearing Jess is like, yeah, man,
You
all
breaking
that I
through the
agree with.
sand? You breaking through the number
Look,
fives or sand?
I'm not giving it a 4.5 on it. Okay, and and then it's mainly because of nitpicking stuff, and the nitpicking comes with I think that the third act um was a little bit rushed just to get us to the final knife battle. I did want to see these old guys, Gurney and Dave Bautista's character Rabin, or handle out a little bit more than that, because Dave Bautista was such a presence in the movie, so angry, so much going on. I thought, and there was so much of this was one of the reasons why Gurney kept fighting on. He's like, this dude gave me a scar, killed my whole family. I'm ready for him. And that battle went a little too quick on some things. So that is just that last final battle. Although it's epic, is great. And I do see the scale of Return of the King and aspects of what they were doing. I just think we could have used at least 2 more or 3 more clips of just in the battle, man. Although I know Dune is not about the battle. In fact, while most of the battles going on, there's still a lot of your main character doing a lot of the talking. So they added the battles that we did get to see was added for the audience to kind of give us something to look at or look forward to in it. So, but like I said, it's nitpicky. The characters, all the cast that they've got for every character, I felt like it matched almost perfectly. Occasionally, Christopher Walken threw me off because I'm like, that's Christopher Walken. His speech pattern can't be altered or changed, but it was so needed for this realm. So yeah, man, I'm sitting at the 4.5, but it's a great worth all the hype.
Okay.
Casey, if we
What's
get
up?
the third movie, The Holy War, and it's all the battles and all the things and all the fighting and all the houses, would you retroactively? I'm just curious to know. Would you retroactively put a higher or lower score on this movie?
I don't know because I don't really expect to see a lot of battling in the third one. I don't think that's the focus. I don't know. I can't remember. But
Oh,
because
I would kind of think it would be.
I mean, I didn't read the books, but I did check out the a little clips in here from the TV show. But that's a TV budget, so you have to work on things a little bit differently. And there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that's
I
about
think it'd
to.
be different. It'll deviate from anything they've done in the past. Because I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
this 2024. Like, it's so
yeah.
much they could do with CGI, and they got a big budget. Warner Brothers producing this thing, man. If they can do it, I would think they're gonna do it, man.
Well, I mean, they'll see. I don't know. So I haven't thought of it that way. I really wouldn't be able to answer that question at this right now, man. I don't know if I go back and be like it's a 5, but like I said, Dune is something I go back and I watch constantly. I mean, that was the movie. That was one of my favorite movies of 2021. Was just because of oh snap, they took something that was not able to be filmable. Like it was just trash every time they've tried to bring it out, and they executed it so well. I mean, I can only expect good things whenever they're doing this part too. So yeah.
I will say you touched on briefly because we about to close this thing. Got to get up out of here. You touched on Dave Bautista character and Christopher Walken. I thought they were perfectly executed, man.
Yeah,
Bautista, he wanted so badly to do things right and satisfy, the Baron and do things with honor that
yeah,
it frustrated him so much when he constantly kept making mistakes, and the screaming and everything like that. Like
yeah,
he didn't need dialogue to portray like what he was feeling. And
yeah.
I thought that was amazing. Um, Christopher Walken, I thought it was great that they cast him because we know Christopher Walken. We know how charismatic this man is. We know who he is, and we know how magnificent of a man this is and of an actor he is. So to see him be reduced to that emperor character that he played was like, oh yeah, this was purposely casted this way. What I felt, in my opinion,
I can see what you're saying, man.
to subdue him the way
Yeah,
that they did. uh I thought that was a great choice, man. um
yeah.
so I don't know. With
Well,
that being
no,
said,
no sorry, go ahead. I missed it.
I was gonna say, like I said, in the spirit of closing out, I was gonna say, with that being said, man, um yes, absolutely, this movie lived up to the hype for sure. um and I'm gonna give it a 4.7. I'm gonna give it a hey, just there's it's almost no higher than you could give it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, the only
And
reason
yet,
I'm not giving
and
it a
yet,
five.
Shannon says something different. It's been nice knowing you guys. This is my last pod for all the people
Oh, you
listening.
were just went up there and see it twice, man. He's like, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it.
Hey,
And hey, man,
that's
you
cool.
sold me on it. I can completely understand why you gave this movie a 5. Like for real. Like, no,
For sure.
no,
For sure, man. I will say, and this may be me overhyping and doing the whole 5 thing, because I try not to have recency bias. You know what I'm saying? I just saw it over the weekend. We're doing the after the hype thing right now. So I kind of want to give it a second watch, maybe, a month or so from now, and see it. I can revisit it. I can always change my mind and give it a 5. I'm
you
trying not to overhype it. But the thing
can't
that I
change your
will
mind.
say, that's all right. People don't like that. Uh, the thing that I will overhype and say, this is probably, without a doubt, one of the best sequels that I've ever seen. I can't think of. I mean, most of the time, man, sequels are a money grab. They're like, man, the original did so well. Let's go back to the well and let's see what it can do. This sequel, this was one of the best ones that I've seen.
Yeah. You're
Uh,
So
you're you're
it's
right,
not
Tim.
Terminator 2. It's not Empire Strikes Back. It's not Alien 2.
Yeah,
But we're talking about those 3 movies on a podcast about Dune 2.
yeah. And you're right, man. A
yeah,
lot of a
yeah,
lot of times
yeah.
you go for a
That was great
sequel,
sequels.
they just kind of rinse and repeat. They'll redo. Okay, we'll just do this, but with
Yeah,
one or two different things, variations to it. Um, and to the Christopher Walken thing, man, I think you're right, man. I didn't think of it in the sense of we all know Christopher Walken, we know his personality, we know what it is. So by the time you see the Emperor, he's a older variation of what Christopher Walken. So you can imagine how
yeah.
charismatic, how he stole the room, how he, you
Been
know,
influenced by the Benny Gesserit.
yeah, man, yeah. You can tell all that just because you know that actor. So yeah, that's a good point, man.
Yeah, Jess, you brought up a good point too right now about the sequel thing. I don't even think you said Dark Knight. Uh, but I mean, some movies, some original movies are meant to just be the setup movie to tee up the sequel. Come on, Batman Begins don't hold water to the Dark Knight. That story was just told to set up the Dark Knight. But even with the Terminator, I don't want to sound blasphemous, man, but Terminator 2 was just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Um, Dune 1 from Dune 2, like we mentioned earlier, it's a continuation of a story. It's one cohesive story. So I don't, you can't tell Dune 2 without having Dune 1, so I don't think it's relatable with those franchises. So it's kind of a league of its own. I would like to think about that a little bit more and then revisit it on another pod when we come back and think about some movies that are a continuation story, where the sequel did live up, to the original story.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah, no, yeah. You did say Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, but I mean, first Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, like that's a huge leap to a much better movie, right? But the one that stands out for me is actually the one we were just talking about, though. Lord of the Rings, all three movies are about equal. All
Just
things,
gonna always bring up Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
Leave it to Jess.
But Fellowship is very, in terms of like a good movie and the importance, the value, I guess you could say, of the movie. The Fellowship of the Ring is right there with the Two Towers, and you cannot have Return of the King without Fellowship, right? So they're all kind of three equal to make this one awesome masterpiece. Whereas another movie like Jaws is like, hey, the first one was incredible. Nobody knows anything about 2, 3, 4, number 987.
That was a money grab. Yeah. Jurassic Park 2, like
The Godfather, bro, the second Godfather.
Yeah, that's
I felt like this was a way better kind of connected story of episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars. Like Star Wars tried to do what Dune is doing with episode 1 and 2, and then what Messiah will be for episode 3. I think they were trying to do that, but couldn't execute.
Yeah, and that's you always gonna have your Star Wars faithful that are kind of on the fence about which ones they like more and how the prequels didn't live up and sequels definitely didn't live up. So that's a whole nother discussion. None of them are Rogue One, which is the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. But anyway, before I continue to piss off more people and have people in the comments screaming, man, we're gonna close this thing out. As I mentioned before, guys, we're gonna keep this thing going because I don't know about y'all, fellas. I had a great time with y'all tonight, man. This was fun. We got to keep this train rolling. As long as we keep getting great content like they did with Dune Part 2, we will do it. And even if it's not great content, look, listeners, subscribers, viewers, please let y'all know. Even if the content was not great in the theaters or the shows that you watch was not great, we're going to be here to roast the hell out of it, man. Not to throw Jess under the bus, but we recorded a whole pod on Echo where we spent the entirety of the time pretty much roasting how bad it was. But my boy forgot to hit the record button. And hey, we're not perfect. And it is okay. But I will tell you this, we had a hell of a time laughing our ass off at the expense of that show. So that is a memory that I will hold in here. And you guys, unfortunately, don't get to see it. But in the future...
If the shoe fits, wear it. It was a trash show. It was a trash aspect of me to not record it. So it worked, right?
Nah, but it's all good, man. We gonna keep bringing y'all these things, man. As long as there's some hype behind it, it comes out. Like I say, even if it don't live up to it, hell, we might even talk about Madam Web. I don't know.
Don't do that to us.
I don't know. Maybe.
No. I just watched Aquaman 2 and I'm still hurting from that.
Hey, really like good. I say, so we're not going to always give overwhelmingly positive praise on stuff. We're going to give y'all a deep, honest opinion about stuff, man. We don't think everything is good. This movie just so happens to be unanimously great amongst us on this panel right now. So please keep rocking with us. Come back if you see that we release something on a movie or a piece of content that you're like, oh, man, I just want to hear what they got to say about it. We're going to definitely bring you some quality content, true and honest opinion, and hopefully we can make it entertaining for y'all, man. So we're going to get up out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace and love to you all. We will see y'all next time. Peace.